Sam, our audio engineer for Labs, is off probation now, so I can call him out by name. Oh, and by the way, Crinacle, we also haven't received our 5128. We shot our video with a rental. So, after publishing our head and torso simulator video, Crinacle had some thoughts. Who is Crinacle? Crinacle is the man behind In-Ear Fidelity, one of the most comprehensive IEM and headphone databases on the web. He's one of the most prominent creators in the audiophile community and is well-respected and very knowledgeable. His channel's great. If you guys want to go subscribe to him, Crinacle Plus, especially since he had to restart his whole channel after losing it.
Oh.
YouTube support was apparently useless. His video complements our video quite nicely, filling in technical information gaps in our video that our audience, we felt, might not have been interested in, since this was an LTT video, not an in-depth deep dive on what could in the future be a lab-specific channel. You got to remember, you can't just publish any old thing you want on any old random channel and expect it to perform well. You have to try to meet the expectations of your audience. Regarding our video, Crinacle said that our current audio product reviews are kind of low level. It's fair. But he thinks we're heading in the right direction and looks forward to our development. He hopes that our influence will be good for the headphone industry in general. He also thinks we made the right choice in Head and Torso Simulator. That's good to know because it wasn't cheap.
Cool. Yeah.
He said our hats video was largely accurate, but a little dumbed down to fit the mainstream viewer. You are right. I cut out so much stuff. First, Sam cut out things knowing that it was headed to LTT. Then Adam, the writer, cut out a bunch of Sam's stuff knowing that it was headed to LTT. Then I took much of what Adam preserved and cut it out because we were trying to address a more mainstream audience. So Crinacle, you're right. He thinks we could have gone with a more cost-effective solution, but given our resources and ambitions, he understands our decision. Yeah, we don't want to around. Like, that's just not what Labs is going to be. Does have advice and concerns for us. Don't waste time on certain tests and measurements that, although they might be a staple of audio/headphone measurements, provide little useful information to the user. Examples include total harmonic distortion, time domain measurements, impulse response, waterfall plots, etc. Got it. Don't abandon this headphone database project after a while like some other websites have, like headfi.org. Instead, build a thorough and comprehensive database of headphones and continuously update it. Make sure it's feature-rich and has powerful and flexible comparison tools and functions. You ready?
That's the goal.
That is the goal, but it's going to take, well, Luke's hiring right now, isn't he? Yeah, he is.
Sure am.
Don't publish sound demos. Interesting. Where you play samples of the audio output from each headphone for users to listen to. Crinacle says, basically it would be like judging the color accuracy of a TV while wearing colored glasses, so you can't really tell how each headphone would sound on your head. It's only a relative comparison. This contains Sam's response, which I have not read yet, but I do have my own thoughts about that. I will read Sam's response first. We agree that frequency response sound demos are only valid for relative comparisons and not for absolute comparisons. This makes frequency response sound demos quite confusing for the uninitiated. If we decide to publish frequency response sound demos, we will make sure that their limitations are very, very clear. However, there are other types of sound demos that can be quite useful, like active noise cancellation or isolation sound demos, as well as leakage and microphone headset sound demos. Crinacle approves of these last few. Yeah, I mean, I think this is something that I'm going to butt heads with the Labs team about often, because I do have a tendency to want to at least give people who don't understand technical documentation something to look at that might tell them something, anything. And in some cases, you can run into a situation where a product is so clearly, obviously worse than another one that even a recording on a crappy microphone played through YouTube compression on dollar store earphones will tell you that this one is clearly better than the other one. Garbage in, garbage out. So, I know that there will be situations where we are going to publish sound demos. For example, fan noise is something where quantitatively you can turn it into a numerical value. You can represent it that way. But qualitatively, it's very difficult. And so as long as we have a very consistent way of collecting those sound demos, there's a value to that for the end user.
Is there something from my side would be like Labs is trying to be as hardcore and objective as it can be. Is there value to the not everyone's going to understand this, but like the like local science museum, I was going to say Science World, but we can apply it to whatever one you have. You know how you can like walk up and press a button and it like will give you like a kid's level understanding of something? Like, is there value to that? Like, could we give people audio samples and just have like very blatant warnings and be like, this is not objective?
I think that it could be valuable for things like, this is what a more bass heavy headphone might sound like. Or if we were to do something like a guide for how to wear your headphones properly, which is a big deal. Like if you have a leak in a closed back headphone, I mean, good luck getting any bass response out of it, right? So if we had something like demos of here's what your headphones might sound like when they're not sealed correctly like this, or here's what your headphone might sound like if you're wearing it too far forward, I think something like that could have a ton of value. But in that case, you're comparing apples to apples. You're only changing one variable at a time.
You're also hoping that they're wearing it properly in the first place.
Well, no, because it's relative. It is relative. So the recording would still reflect some of those changes.
It's just the recording of wearing it properly won't sound proper if they're not wearing it properly.
Legitsu says, Linus arguing with the very people he hired because he has no clue what he's talking about is confusing. No, you're the only one who's confused. I'm not arguing with them. I'm saying that we are definitely going to have to find a middle ground where we are able to represent the differences between products in a way that normies can understand, and while also staying true to our mission, which is to provide objective empirical data.
And there has to be a very, very clear line between the two as well, which is it's going to be interesting. Communicating results and things like that is very difficult.
Snow Skeleton over on Floatplane chat seems to understand a little better and says relative can still be valuable. If you have a recording of a headset that I know and like and play the same sounds on a different set, I can get some sense for the differences based on my knowledge of a previous set. Yeah, it's not scientific at all. And frankly, we wouldn't want you to make a purchase decision based on that. I mean, we could even just say that much.
It'd have to be like super, super clear.
I think disclaiming it, and just saying this is for, you basically go psychic on it. You say this is for entertainment purposes only. This is the scientific data. This is for entertainment purposes only. I would be comfortable publishing it. At the end, Crinacle jokes that if our headphone test engineer insists on publishing sound demos, we should fire him. I had actually only just read that now, so apparently maybe we should fire me. It's one of those things where I understand both the purist point of view and I also understand the users who just want that resource, whether it's a flawed data point or not. And it feels honestly a lot like arguing with YouTube about the dislike button. They say, well, it's not a good indicator of video quality and most users don't rely on it anyway because comments is so much better, blah, 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 blah. There's so much interpretation that needs to be done in order to utilize this signal that as an end user, you couldn't possibly do it. And I'm sitting here going, I can do it just fine. And I would like to have it. I'm the end user. I'm the customer. I said I want it. And so there's a push and there's a pull, right? We have to push what are the right measurements and what are the right means of representing the differences between products. But users are also going to tell us what resources they want. And it's very clear from chat that they want that resource.
And again, we can do a lot in regards to segmenting it, making it very, very clear, like, okay, this section is for entertainment purposes only, like you said. This is the actual, like, proper data, dividing it all up. Yeah.
See, Legitsu says, I would rather be presented with hard scientific data that this headphone is better than that headphone and let the subjective part, which would be me, the subject, make the final decision. But it doesn't work that way. So again, you don't understand. No single headphone is better objectively than another headphone.
You also don't have to go through the entertainment only section. You can just read the hard facts section.
Which is true. But the thing that I want to clarify here is that we all are so different. Our physiology is so different that the best performing headphone for me is not necessarily the best performing headphone for you. This is something that we did discuss in the video. And the dummy head it's an average. It's designed based on an average of a whole bunch of people. No one of those individual people was that average. It's literally just a nice to know figure that you're collecting from it. There is no objectivity here. That's the challenge. Note from Bell. This week's Short Circuit will have Labs notes in it. Ooh, really? Or this weekend's Short Circuit.
For the Mercedes EQS, we have Labs notes on the speaker system. So if you want to see kind of how some of it will be presented and compared to other products, that will be an option.
That's fun.
Cool. Anyways, I think I haven't watched the video, but from looking at the back and forth, it sounds like both sides are super level-headed, and there's some really cool feedback, and that's awesome.
Yeah.
It's actually really exciting to have like pinnacle figures of various industries stepping up and being excited about us doing this and giving advice as well, because like,
yeah, we don't know everything,
and we want to make sure that we are taking the right
and we'll make mistakes.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching, and thanks to XSplit for sponsoring this week's clips. XSplit is perfect for content creators or businesses, and you can save 10% off with code Linus using the link in the video description.